One of the reasons why one of our vocabulary words was tropical, which meant something that's warm all year round, is because we have two rainforests. One is the tropical rainforest, and then we have this one, the temperate rainforest. Temperate rainforests are found along the coasts in temperate regions, like up in Oregon and the upper part of California. And that's one of the largest temperate rainforests that you will find. Is up in Oregon. It's called the Hoh Rainforest. I've been there. Pretty amazing. And so there are other rainforests in Chile, United Kingdom, and some in Japan and other places as well. It's important to know that the temperate rainforests are very different than tropical rainforest. Very different than tropical rainforest. They are a rainforest, so they are very wet, but they only get about only get about 60 to 200 inches a year. And then they get another, this is kind of wild here, they get another 7 to 12 inches of precipitation that comes in the form of fog. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Mr. Bowens, fog is not precipitation. Honestly, if we can get outside one day, we're getting at a really good time of year when we might be able to do that. If we can go outside with like a flashlight in the like early morning when you get here, if it's super foggy and we hold the flashlights up, we can see teeny tiny little water droplets floating in the air. And that's what fog is. Fog is a very low-lying stratus cloud. And that's one way that they get a lot of the rain or the precipitation that falls there. It just comes from the fog moving around and clinging to things. Temperate rainforests are temperate. They're not as tropical. They're not as warm. They are a lot cooler than other the tropical rainforest, but they still, for the most part, have milder temperatures. We're not talking tundra or taiga type stuff here, but they do have two seasons: a long, wet winter and a short, dry summer. So when we're thinking about the temperate rainforest, and we've got our abiotic factors of sun, soil, climate, and water, the sun there, it just varies. What time of year is it? It's not that it's intense. It's not that it's glancing off of anything. This is right there in that zone where we have it, where the sun really depends how intense it is, what time of year it is, what season are you in. Now, so the soil, again, we're in a rainforest. Okay, look around in the picture behind you. All you see is green. Obviously, the soil is pretty fantastic. It supports a lot of plant life. So there's sun, soil, temperatures. Okay, well, we have two seasons: a long, wet winter, which can get pretty cold, and a short, dry summer, which is not going to get super hot, but it's not going to be super freezing either. It's not like the taiga or the tundra. It's a mild weather there. And then we have water: sun, soil, temperature, and water. We know with water, well, between 60 and 200 inches of rain and 7 to 12 inches of fog, they've got plenty of water there. So we've broken down our temperate rainforest abiotic factors. To live in the temperate rainforest, you have to have very good adaptations. And as I look into the background of this picture, I see mosses, ferns, lichens, and all sorts of things. Now, these, if you look, it does look like a jungle. And that's a lot of that has to do with all of the moss that covers everything. There are spruce trees and hemlocks. Do you need to write that down? No, but there is a thing called a conifer. We've heard of that before. Hopefully you remember that conifers dominated the taiga. There are still pine trees here. They can grow in other places. They don't just grow in the taiga. There's deciduous trees. Well, that we should know that one too. We have, right outside in Friendship, we have deciduous trees, those that lose their leaves in the winter. And we also have some conifers. We have some pine trees. A lot of these are really, really old trees. You might see something called nurse logs, and you can kind of see one right here. This is when a tree falls, but it through the decaying process, and we've talked about the breaking down of that from our decomposers, it gives a lot of nutrients to new growing plants. And so eventually the tree rots away. And it's broken down into its basic components, into the good soil and the nutrients, but that helps all of the other plants that are starting to grow. So we can read about that. So we need to remember these nurse logs. I don't think that's going to show up on a test. It's just a really fun fact of the way that this place works. And it's pretty amazing. So in order to live there as one of these trees or anything else, you need to be able to overcome an excessive amount of water. And I think it's neat how even when a tree falls after it's died, the decomposers are breaking it down. It's covered in moss and other things, and new tree growth and new plant growth comes from that. So it's important that we have those decomposers. Animal adaptations. In a temperate rainforest, you're going to find some odd animals in there, and some that you might recognize. Unlike the tropical rainforest, where most of the animals lived in the trees, most of the animals in a temperate rainforest live on or near the forest floor. Then that keeps them protected from all of the rain and some of the wind. So you have like chipmunks and birds. You're going to have some squirrels in there as well. You'll have insects in there, and they're helping to break down and decay things also. You might see this weird looking thing in the background. You may look at that and think, oh, somebody dropped a banana on the ground. That is not a banana. That is a banana slug. And I think we have a video in here. If not, then I need to find that. And a lot of these things help to break down those dead, decaying things. You're going to have amphibians and insects. You'll see deer, bobcats, cougars. The cougars and the bobcats are the top predators here. Cougars are a pretty huge cat too. You'll see beavers, raccoons, and black bears. Black bears are on the top of the food chain as well. But the most important animal, and hopefully you remember this term, the keystone animal, in my opinion, in a temperate rainforest, are the elk. They are called the landscape gardeners of the forest. And the reason why is they stomp around with their big feet. Remember, they're ungulates. They have hooves. And they're eating. It's important because they are keeping the forest cleaned out. Their niche is to walk around and eat. If they did not do that, then the forest would become too thick with things. It would be too many vines and other things growing, and you wouldn't even be able to walk through the forest. It would become not even a forest anymore, more of a thicket, and you couldn't even get through there. But luckily, these elk are able to stomp through and do their job, and it's extremely important to the temperate rainforest that they do that. As you can see here, there was a while when that was actually an issue because the elk were hunted to the point that they were endangered. That's kind of scary. But through the different processes, we were able to bring them back from the brink of endangerment, get them relocated back into the rainforest, and we were able to immediately start to see a change in that ecosystem. Banana slugs. Now listen, you don't really need to take notes on this. This is just kind of fun. They are the second largest slug in the world, and I've got to see one before, and I literally thought someone had left a banana laying on like the handle, the rail of a bridge me and my boys were hiking over when we were in the Hoh Rainforest in Oregon. They're gross looking. And so you can read a little bit more about this. There's some pretty cool things about them. They have this really gross slime that comes off of them. They're really, really slimy, which kind of keeps them, the predators away from them, although they are edible. But it's really gross though. They are super slimy. You don't really need to understand all this stuff about the slime and everything about that. It's just fun. To learn about new animals instead of just like hammering out facts all the time. So I think there's a video in here as well. So enjoy the banana slug. It's kind of like some of the other things we've watched. I mean, you don't have to know everything in the world about kelp, but hopefully your appreciation of an algae in the ocean has been raised because we got to watch and talk about that video. I'll skip that. Obviously, if you see a Nature Boom Time posted, you know that I'm going to say watch it because it's one of my favorite things on YouTube, and I'm looking forward to when we're able to watch this in class. And I've actually been in the forest that they're in here. Maybe not the exact same spot, but I've been in the forest there. And I'm going to stop there for just a second as we look at our condensed notes on the temperate rainforest, we see that with our sun, soil, climate, and water, our sun varies with the seasons. We have great soil because of all the plants that grow there. The climate is milder than the tropical rainforest. It's definitely not as warm there because they have long wet winters and short dry summers. But again, with the water, there is lots. 60 to 200 inches of rain a year is quite a bit. And it's kind of amazing to know that they get 12 more inches of water just from fall. Your biotic factors. To adapt to live here, you need to be able to adapt to living with all of that water. Remember, I'm able to type this in real quickly as well. Let's see if I can do that. Will it let me? Oh, Mr. B. Many animals live near or on the floor, which is the opposite of the tropical rainforest. Bears, squirrels, owls, banana slugs are some of the animals that you might see there. And when we're looking at the plant life, I mean, they have deciduous trees like we do. They have coniferous trees like the taiga. And there's tons and tons of moss. Moss pretty much covers everything. And then they have those special nurse trees that when they fall and die, all the plant life grows off of them. So that is our condensed notes on the rainforest that we can then turn into a really good Google Doc with paragraphs. All right, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe.